Hello, fellow ink drinkers, and welcome back to the Blind Girls Book Talk podcast. My name is Aria.
And I'm Belle.
And we are two sisters who love reading and love books. And so what we've done is we've created this show in order to talk about these things that we love. This show does have a wide array of topics that we cover. It goes from book to movie comparisons, to book theories, to book reviews, to buddy reads. The list does go on. But today we are actually going to be talking about one of our book theories, and this theory is about the world of Harry Potter, which is not one that you typically get a whole lot of theories from. But in this case, what we want to talk about is the Dursleys and Harry Potter. Okay, so essentially this theory that I stumbled across, do you remember who we had originally seen with this theory?
No. I'm sorry. I don't. You just showed me a video and said, "What do you think of this?" And I gave my 2 cents.
There was a YouTuber, Cameron Wolf, I want to say. But anyway, they had come up with this theory, or they had found a theory that said that the reason that the Dursleys were the way they were is because they lived with Harry, who was a Horcrux. And for me, that was very interesting, right? And granted, I haven't read the first and second books, where I think the Dursleys play a lot more into the story versus, the later books where they have little time in the story. But from my knowledge of the Dursleys, they, of course, were very horrible to Harry. And this theory is saying the only reason they were like that is because Harry was a Horcrux.
No.
Okay, so why don't you think that?
So my biggest reasoning for saying no is due to the fact that each Horcrux, once it's created, less and less of a life force is used. So, I mean, by the time Voldemort accidentally made Harry into a Horcrux, there wasn't much life force for him to split.
Okay.
So it wasn't very strong.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then another thing is you also have Petunia? Is that
yes.
the name? Yeah. Petunia, who is like, you didn't lose a mother, I lost a sister.
Right. Well, okay, just to play devil's advocate here, I do agree with you that the amount of Voldemort's soul in Harry was not very much, right? Because he had done it like 6 times before, so not all that much left if you've split your soul that much.
Yeah. And I mean, also, whatever he spends all his time with Ron's not affected, Hermione's not affected, none of the Weasleys are affected. Nobody else is affected.
So, the only thing that I wonder, though, is that could it be that essentially this bit of Voldemort in Harry is essentially taking the bad things? It's not bad enough to do it on its own, right? Like how the locket is, or how the diadem is, or any of those things, any of those other objects. It's not enough to make them want to act out like it is, for those. But what if it's enough to essentially amplify the bad? Not enough to bring it out, but enough to amplify it. I want to say that, yeah, I feel like the Dursleys are, even without Harry's influence, are kind of jerkish. You know what I mean? They're kind of jerks.
They're one of those people who's like picture perfect life, blah blah blah.
Right.
But like, here's the thing: even when Harry showed up, like, granted, if you want to use that, yeah, because he is a Horcrux, he is affecting them, blah blah blah. If you want to use that, fine. However, I would have to argue that if you want to go that route and believe that, his small percentage would take time for it to come out. He was shoved into the cupboard when he got there.
Was he?
I'm pretty sure he was.
Because I haven't read the first book.
It's been a while, but like, it's pretty much just like Harry only knows of living in the cupboard.
Yeah, I don't know, because for me, again, I would think that it would make sense that it would take, if you are these people who, they're all about the picture perfect life, they're all about the picture perfect family. A lot of times the stereotypical way for these people to be is that they are kind of jerks, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, if you got a Horcrux, right, delivered to your doorstep, and essentially you're already kind of jerks, like you might have your nice moments, but you're already kind of jerks. All of a sudden, this Horcrux is making you be a jerk a lot more than you normally would all the time. And for like the Weasleys, Hermione, Ron, like all of those who have been around him and weren't affected, because they're not jerkish people.
But here's the thing. Wouldn't the Dursleys then have been jerkish to everyone? But like, they like doted on their son. They were like,
but that's
civil with his friend. You know what I mean? It was only Harry. Like, no, I don't like that.
I mean, well, I never had known of any friends that came over.
Well, wasn't it like a bunch of the friends went to the zoo?
Well, they had the birthday party at the zoo, but I don't think that they were actually there. Like, it's not like they had a birthday party at their house, right? And maybe it is a thing where it's a proximity thing, right? If they are not right by Harry, because again, it's very weak. You know what I mean? If they're not right by Harry, then maybe they're not, like, they're going to have these moments where they're nice to other people. Do you know what I mean? Because Harry is just in the house and they're like in the moments when they're in the house, that's going to bring that out.
I guess that kind of makes sense. I don't know. I just don't think that that's the reason why they treated him so horribly.
I mean, again, I don't know that it necessarily is either. It's just one of those things where I thought that it would be interesting to think about that, right? Because we always have thought, like, if you just do the normal perspective, right? The Dursleys are just horrible humans. They hated Harry. They hated having to be stuck with Harry. That's why they were jerks, right? Yeah, that makes sense. And I get it. But at the same time, the thought that maybe it wasn't entirely their fault. Maybe it was just the fact that there was a little bit of Voldemort and Harry that just kind of made it as bad as it was. You know what I mean? Then that's the thing that, I don't know, that's what's interesting to me. Right? Because the other thing too is, isn't it in the second one that he ends up having his own room?
Yeah, but that's after... No, that's after Azkaban.
That's after Azkaban.
Yeah, because he uses the whole, my godfather is like this big, bad, evil wizard. So you better treat me right, or he gonna come
See, because
turn you into a toad.
in the movies, he did have his own room, but with the second book, or with the second movie, because that's where Dobby comes in and is just like, Harry Potter must not go to Hogwarts.
No.
Hello, fellow ink drinkers, editing Aria here. So I'm just hopping on really quick because I just heard back the accent that I just did for Dobby, and it was horrible and awful, and I realize that now, so I am so sorry to put y'all through that. I will never do that again. Hope you enjoy the rest of the episode.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. Again, it's something that I think is an interesting thing to consider. I'm not saying it's right, and I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that to me, it would make sense.
I can see how it would make sense. I just don't see the facts lining up.
So, just other than how, like, his friends weren't like that, or anybody else that he was in contact with wasn't like that, what other facts do you have?
I mean, there's not, like, I can get why the theory came about. However, I don't think the facts surrounding it are solid.
Well, okay, so here's another thing. Nagini's the same way, right? Nagini was also a Horcrux.
Yeah.
So, are there instances where the same thing is happening with Nagini that you remember?
I don't remember. I don't think.
Because that's my thing. That would be the thing that really, I think, would confirm or deny this theory one way or the other, is because Nagini was other than Harry, like, Nagini was the next to the last Horcrux, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So Nagini was the next to the last Horcrux. So other than, like, if it went the way that Voldemort had intended, right, Nagini would be, like, the smallest amount of soul other than Harry.
Mm-hmm.
So if there are instances of people being affected by Nagini, then that would be able to tell you right there if it would be the same way.
But there isn't.
And that's the thing. Like, that's why it's really hard to say one way or the other with this theory.
Because the thing is with Nagini is she was just around Voldemort all the time. So
Right.
It was Voldemort just surrounded by his essence.
Right.
So it really, like, it can't prove or disprove.
Right. And so that's the thing. Like, that would be the only way to actually be able to more or less prove that kind of theory, is if you would know any other character interactions with Nagini and see how they, change versus, how they are with Harry. I don't know. Again, I thought it was a really cool theory. I thought it was very interesting.
It's something interesting to think about.
It really is. It really is. Do you have any final thoughts?
Nope.
Okay, then. Well, we want to thank you guys for listening to us today talk about this Harry Potter theory. We really appreciate it. If you like what you're listening to, or if you like the show, consider liking, commenting, following, sharing, all of those good things. Of course, if you don't want to do that, that's fine as well. No pressure. It just helps us to grow the show if you do. And then next time, we are going to be talking about what?
What books we would like to see turned into movies.
All right, that'll be a very interesting discussion. So we will see you guys then. Bye.
Bye.